Well, it sure does look like something major is brewing between China and the United States. But you better not tell Elon Musk. All of this as now the corporate media is marching in lockstep with their latest talking points against Elon Musk, as we have a bombshell New York Times story that Trump is calling fake news on. Is it fake news, since the corporate media is doubling down, tripling down? And when you go to the first page of Google News, it is inundated with this particular story, as I think it would be good to kind of do a little bit of a deep dive, a little bit of an exploration into the fake news industry under Donald Trump 2.0, as now the narrative control really is in a very fascinating place, because who controls it, who wields it, who's able to get the truth out there, what is the truth? Let's examine that in this particular video, as this morning we got this story from the New York Times that reads, Pentagon set up a briefing for Musk on potential war with China. Who are these stories based on? Anonymous sources. Yeah. Now, the New York Times says that they have 5 anonymous sources. I remember when they had, 19 heads of intel agencies also telling us that there was this thing called Russian collusion, which again wasn't true at all either. I remember when they were telling us, oh, we have credible sources. We have multiple sources. And this is the New York Times, by the way. There's these weapons of mass destruction in Iraq. We're telling you they're there, based off our anonymous sources. And those anonymous sources were lying to them. Again, you should always question stories based off anonymous sources. It's kind of infuriating that this is still somehow seen as legitimate kind of journalism. On background, someone told me in a bathroom stall in the hole that I was regurgitating on all the corporate media crap. It's crap. Lots of crap out there. The byline reads, the access would be a major expansion of Elon Musk's government role and highlights his conflict of interests. The story then goes on and then kind of alludes to the fact that Elon Musk would somehow undermine the national security risk, and they hint at this, and they do it in a very slick way. They do it in a way which this is let's call it what this is, a major attack hit piece against Elon Musk. That's exactly how this reads. When you look into the story, it specifically says, yeah, he has a lot of business ties. He has some loans there in China. He has a factory in China, which he does, and it's important to bring up. Lots of billionaires like Bill Gates do, but they get promoted by the New York Times for some strange reasons. Bill Gates is literally working with China on mini nuclear reactors, okay? When there's an issue of national security, that's it right there, okay? Bill Gates said, yeah, too much rules and regulations. I'm going to go over to China, and I'm going to help develop small nuclear reactors, which will be game-changing, right? But the New York Times isn't upset about that. Huge national security risk. But they love Bill Gates. They're like, yeah, eat his fake meat, guys. Yeah, buy his products. Yeah, take his procedures as much as you can. They do his bidding. But then they go full, all-out burger attack on Elon Musk. And now we have the response from Donald Trump responding to all of this, because there's a big media storm surrounding this. And we'll get to the truth of this. But Donald Trump says Elon Musk will be briefed by the Pentagon about the USA's top secret plan against China should there be a war. According to the failing New York Times, one of the worst and most purposely inaccurate newspaper anywhere in the world, their fake concept for this story is that because Elon does some business in China, that he is a very conflicted and would immediately go to the top Chinese official and spill the beans. Ratings challenged fake news. CNN immediately picked up on this absolutely ridiculous and false story, which is probably libelous, and went heavy with it. Fortunately, nobody was watching. Maggot Harmon, the really dumb scammer who constantly writes about me for the Times, used anonymous, made-up, non-existent sources, and who I haven't spoken to in ages, is a big part of the scam. She led the Russia hoax only to realize that she was duped and got it wrong. She owes me a totally discredited Pulitzer Prize for her bad reporting. The fake news is the enemy of the people, and Elon is not being briefed on anything China by the Department of War. And then he kind of doubles down at this, and then he keeps continuing to call out the New York Times here as Elon Musk retweeted Donald Trump's statement about this, talking about how ridiculous this is, how untrue this is, saying, quote, "The New York Times is pure propaganda." Also, I look forward to the prosecution of those at the Pentagon who are leaking malicious, false information to the New York Times. They will be found. As Donald Trump in his first administration dealt with leakers, dealt with people within his own government that would subvert him. They would also lie to him. They would also tell him, we have this many troops in Syria. They would lie to him about those numbers, so Donald Trump wouldn't do anything about it. Donald Trump was getting fake information from his own staff. His own DOJ was working out with a deal with Epstein, trying to implicate Donald Trump here. As now, we have some very interesting statements from the Pentagon spokesperson here that showed physical evidence allegedly disproving this entire story. But before getting to this video, before playing it and talking about China and the larger possibilities of a bigger conflict between us and them, which we should talk about now, we want to tell you about wearechange.shop, one of the best shops out there. And I love my store because we do everything in-house here. I've done so much due diligence. I've done so much homework, and we got a lot of really great products. We got tea. We got 100 milligram hemp extract. This stuff, some of the best stuff out there on the market. When I was dealing with anxiety, panic attacks, I had this everywhere. I had this by my bed. I had this in the studio. I had this in my car. I don't need it now because I was able to fix my diet. I was able to actually fix my sleep, fix my exercise. I tell people how I did that on liquidfilter.com. But one of the things that, in a rush, if you can't fix something right away, right, and you're dealing with like this huge fear-induced kind of coma that prevents you from being a normal person in society. It was horrible because I used to be live on air, and I used to get these panic attacks. I'm like, man, this is horrible. I got to deal with this. I got to figure this out. I was on one of the biggest shows on all of the internet. And I'm like, just randomly, out of nowhere. I was having a good time. Boom. I'm like, I had this always on my desk. And then this helped me out. It might help you out. I did 2 years of research, and I was like, I want to test every single product. You don't want to get this product at the gas station, all right? This is highly concentrated, really powerful, good stuff that works for me. I think it might work for you. Again, I hate all these sales pitches where it's like, all right, yeah, it's going to cure your butt cancer. No, we're not saying that, okay? Before taking anything into your body, do your own due diligence, talk to your medical doctor, do whatever you got to do. But for me personally, and people are like, Luke, you splurge out, you go all crazy, take calm. You're not really calm. It's not about being calm. It's about not being in an anxious state. And I know a lot of people that do go through anxiety, and this helps them out tremendously. I know personal family members. I know guests of the show here. And, most, and people are like, $64. Yes, $64. Because this is actually a cheaper price comparatively to how this product is sold everywhere else. This product is sold at a higher markup in many different places. This type of stuff, like $100, all these other places. This is actually a good, fair price here, competitive price for the top quality type of stuff that you get here. Again, you don't want to be getting this stuff at the gas station, and whenever, people are like, yeah, let's go get some booze, let's take the edge off. And I'm like, I'll take some calm and I'm relaxed. I'll get some water. Give me some seltzer water with lemon. Your body will thank you for it. So make some smart decisions. Wearechange.shop, takecalm.com. Check out our product. Great stuff available to you. And I'm most proud of this product. Now, let's get to this specific news report, which I think is important to play here, because we got more context about this New York Times story that I think is important, that, again, the corporate media is having a huge heyday with.
Yeah, on the record, that is completely fake. And let me show you this. This started with this New York Times headline, and they since changed it. But Musk set to get access to top secret U.S. plan for potential war with China. This is egregious. This is fake. The New York Times should retract this story, 5 anonymous sources. I've been on bilat calls with the secretary. I see how hard he's working to implement the president's agenda and pursue peace through strength. This type of garbage from the New York Times undermines that process and undermines our mission. It shouldn't happen at all. Elon Musk is just coming over here for a visit. Again, he's an innovator. This is a guy that shot a rocket at thousands of miles an hour that's thousands of pounds. And as it landed back on the Earth, it was grabbed out of midair by a giant robot arm. Yeah. We want a guy like Elon Musk in the Defense Department to help us come up with creative solutions to the problems that we face in the day. But this article is ridiculous. It's fake. And I can confirm that on the...
Yeah. So who do you believe here throughout all of this? A corporate media like CNN that now has guests on their show that are calling Elon Musk an incompetent thief and someone tied to the Germans in the 1930s? Are you kidding me? Clearly, the corporate media has a little bit of a bias here. And then when you look at everything that is kind of going on here, when you look at the attacks specifically between Elon Musk and Donald Trump, there is a corporate media attempt to drive a wedge between them, but it looks like it's backfiring and it's actually doing the opposite of that. But again, the Daily Mail actually had a little bit more of an accurate headline surrounding all of this, as they wrote, Trump issues volcanic tirade denying Pentagon is briefing Elon Musk on plans for World War III with China. A little hyperbolic, just like, the Daily Mail could be our titles are a little hyperbolic too. It's the name of the game. I understand it, but that's kind of a okay take on it, in my opinion, comparatively to everyone else. NPR here, I still don't understand how they could be publicly funded. Donald should kind of look at that. Elon Musk heads to the Pentagon, sparking... They changed it, by the way. In the making of this video, they changed it. The Wall Street Journal, Musk set to receive top secret briefing on U.S. war plans for China. New York Times also changed their title here. Top of Google News. All of this. Pentagon set up a briefing for Musk on potential war. NBC. Elon Musk to visit Pentagon to discuss China. Okay, changed it. The narrative is changing in real time. And again, live updates. Now we're seeing finally some actual denial of this and the story being corrected, since originally it was a little bit different. This, as there are still some kind of bigger questions here about the future of our geopolitical conundrum that we're dealing when it comes to this insidious trap that is being set up between a rising hegemonic power and the current hegemonic global dominant superpower, which is the United States. All of this is happening, as it's fair to assume here, China and the United States are readying for war. So is Europe. You type into the Brave search, is China preparing for war with the United States? And the first results that are coming up are China is actively preparing for potential conflict with the United States, as evidenced by its significant military buildup and strategic investment. Under President Xi Jinping, China has been amassing ships, planes, and missiles, making it the largest military buildup by any country in decades. This includes the deployment of advanced anti-ship ballistic missiles that threaten U.S. surface ships operations in the South China Sea and East China Seas as well. Yep. Not a good situation, as a lot of foreign policy and geopolitical experts are saying the only way to avoid this insidious trap is for the United States to excel and do a lot better on the world stage, to the point where they outshine China, to the point where they can't even compete with them. Now, China has their own kind of unique problems, as we got a very interesting article from The Hill talking about how China's military is going to war against itself, and there being some alleged internal beefs and conflicts and firings between loyalists to Xi Jinping and generals that are not loyalists, and big maneuvers being made internally, as there's also a big middle class crisis, a fertility crisis in China, a natural resource China, other than those South China Sea islands, are kind of landlocked. They're trying to terraform. They're trying to turn their deserts into farmland because there's a reason they're running the Belt and Road Initiative. It's because their territory, even though it's pretty big, it's not really filled with a lot of natural resources. It's very difficult to get a lot of food and a lot of water in there. And overall, they face their own geopolitical strifes and difficulties. And when we look at what's happening on the world here, and when we look at history and how it's kind of cycles and repeats in some strange rates, I would say it rhymes more when you look at the context of history. The last century also had European conflicts. They also had diseases. And these cycles look like they're repeating as China's preparing for war, the United States is preparing for war, and Europe is preparing for war. As the Sun has this article, War Footing Survival Guides, Mass Evacuations, Huge Bunkers, and Conscriptions, how the whole of Europe is preparing for World War III. We know the Poles are, the Germans are, the French are, the people of the UK are, as, again, there's a big likelihood that in the next few years, and again, we should do everything in our power to avoid this. We should be making friends. We should be making alliances, partnerships, and doing our best to explore the seas, to explore space, to fund human expansion and growth, rather than continuing to point these freaking huge weapons against each other that could destroy the earth many times over. That's just my take on it. How are we going to get there? It looks like Donald Trump has a plan, as he, of course, is talking about getting rid of all nuclear weapons on the face of this earth. That would significantly cool down tensions and hopefully spur on some global cooperation with a focus on prioritizing America's needs, America's interests, propelling us forward in growth and not destruction. But there are evil forces among us within our own government that want death, destruction, human sacrifice, and the demise of the human spirit. That's what we're dealing with. That's exactly what's going on here. And it's not a fun situation to be in, especially with the latest developments in Ukraine. I just did a video about this right before this one. Watch the video. Go on youtube.com/WeAreChange, and you see, oh, go on all videos, and you're like, okay, I just watched it. Go to the one before, because the developments there are really troublesome. As they only got more troublesome right now, as now we have the potential Russian sabotage attack on UK infrastructure that could spur on a way bigger
Russia has
here. There's also the Ukrainians blowing up the only pipeline, that's what the video was about, that is going from Russia to Europe, as Europe has announced that they're going to be buying some Russian gas and not American gas, and well, the only pipeline from Russia just blows up right when they're making that deal here. Not a good situation. Prepare for the worst, in my opinion. Truly. Things are going to be tough financially. Roaring 20s, the Spanish flu that wasn't really the Spanish flu. My goodness, golly gracious. We were in for some interesting times. I love you guys. I got more videos to make. Stay tuned for more. Click subscribe. And hey. More than ever, takecalm.com. Great stuff. Can't recommend it enough, especially during these very crazy days. I love you guys. Stay tuned for more takecalm.com. Stay tuned for more here exclusively on youtube.com/WeAreChange.